right, welcome. Now we're going to do our next lesson, which is going to be talking about how graffiti all started and how the tag even started. So there's a lot of setup just to get ready for graffiti so you understand all the context of everything. So we're going to just talk a little bit about some of the key players, and then you're going to have a really easy quiz at the end of this that you're going to do online. Okay. So in 1965, there's this guy named Daryl McCrae, and he lives in Philadelphia. And he had this nickname named Cornbread, and his nickname came from the fact that he was in juvie, and he really liked cornbread. So he started to be called Cornbread, and everybody called him Cornbread. He had a crush on a girl, and he started writing cornbread everywhere in the halls. In juvie, he started writing on the walls everywhere just to get this girl's attention. So he starts doing this in 1960s in Philadelphia. So Cornbread, who is still alive, claims that he started this whole graffiti tagging movement. So he calls himself the father of graffiti. He said that he started this. So, of course, so he does this. Other people catch on. They start doing this. And then it actually moves up to New York City, and people start doing this later on. So Cornbread is best known for one of the really cool stunts that he does. So at the time when he was younger, one of his best friends' name was Cornelius, and Cornelius unfortunately was shot and killed in a gang fight. So the newspapers mistook Cornelius for Cornbread. So they published in the newspaper that Cornbread actually was the one that was dead. So they actually posted a big article saying Cornbread is dead. So Cornbread, to make sure that everybody knew that he was still alive, he snuck into the Philadelphia Zoo, and he spray painted "Cornbread Lives" onto a live elephant. And of course, that caught lots of attention and made him famous. So that's one of the most popular things that he did. So there's a huge argument between where exactly graffiti started and who started it, whether it happened in Philadelphia or whether it happened in New York City. So a little bit later, a couple years later, in 1967, there's this guy named Demetrius who is a delivery boy, and he starts writing Tacky, which is his nickname, 183, everywhere he goes. Every time he makes a delivery, he writes that on the walls, on subways, everywhere he goes. So he becomes really famous because of an article that the New York Times actually published in 1971 about what Tacky was doing. So because that was documented by New York Times in 1971, for many years people claimed that it was graffiti started in New York City and it was actually Tacky 183 that did this. So that's kind of the argument, because you've got to remember that this is a new movement. These guys are still alive, and there's not really textbooks or history books yet. It's too young, right? So there's a lot of debate. Now, Tacky 183, so he wrote Tacky because that was his nickname, and he wrote 183 because he lived on 183rd Street. So in New York City, it's huge. So all the streets are not named with a name, they are numbered. So he was from 183rd Street. So it was his nickname, and it also was a short form from, where he lived. So other people started doing this. So you can see like a picture here as other people started to write their short names and, their street numbers. So this inspired the graffiti that we know today. So both of them are writing their nicknames. They're not writing their real names. Now, cornbread is a really long word. So what we get from Tacky is that we get a really short word. A tag name, a nickname, is usually 3 to 5 letters, and that comes from Tacky. Now, he puts numbers 183, and initially people from New York City did do that, but we don't do it today because we don't, in Oshawa, we don't have, numbers for our street. So what we do get from Tacky is 3 to 5 letters as a short name. What we get from both of them is that they're anonymous and they're putting it up everywhere. Okay, so but what happened is, so they start doing this, other people start doing it as well, and then you end up with stuff like this, with people sort of competing for space. So the more that people write, the more that you want your tag to stand out. So then that's when the style was born. That's when you just didn't write normally with normal letters, but that's when you really want some artistic style in it to make sure that your tag stands out. So we start off with, just basic tacky 183, and we get into these hand styles that are really elaborate and really artistic. And that's where you get the respect from. You get respect from tagging as much as you possibly can and be getting put up everywhere, and also your style. You get respect from how good your tag is. Okay, so now the cool thing is both Tacky and both Cornbread are still live, and there's 2 videos that you can watch if you want to listen to what they have to say and talk about where they come from instead of me telling you. So there's 2 videos there that you're welcome to watch, and I'll post them as well, and if you want to look at the links, then you can. Okay, so when you finish this, there's a really easy quiz that I would like you to finish online. Okay, all right, until the next lesson.